Hey guys, welcome to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. I forgot to get us on. I am without my regular co-host. I have the Lost Trucker. Zill is joining us tonight from BC. She's got her BCHL jersey on. We'll talk more about that in a little while. Episode 36. You guys realize we are coming down the stretch. We have 42 episodes in our season. We got this draft special, a couple other things happening. And we do have a special guest today and also next week. I know we've gone 3 weeks and we didn't give you any special guests. That's just because my co-host was just trying to take up all the extra time possible. Anyway, he's gone. Everyone's going to play. In the meantime, I love to just get into this right away here today.
All right.
I want to ask you a question. Are you excited? Was it exciting? You were at the finals for the BCHL game between the Chilliwack Chiefs and the Brooks Bandits. What kind of game was it? Just tell us in 20 seconds before I advertise. Let people know.
It was actually a very good game. They were very tired. It was game 4, and they had gone to double overtime the night before, which the Chilliwack Chiefs had won, so they were up 2-1. It was a tight game. The score was more lopsided than the game really was. It was good, and my sister and nephew were actually really into the game. When I got up to leave at 1 minute when it was 4-1, they were like, yeah. What are you doing?
I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, guys, just let you know, every Wednesday night live at 7 p.m. right through till after Free Agent Frenzy, the first Wednesday after. We take off until the end of the summer, and back in September we will be back. But still, we can come every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can catch our live shows. Definitely jump on. You can ask questions, comment. If we get the chance, we'll be able to answer those. You can follow us. You can follow me at REV at X. You can follow, subscribe, and like on Facebook. And I guess I better advertise for my co-host who's actually might try to get in on the show. He's in Istanbul right now, so he's going to get on probably at 2-3 in the morning, something like that. He's going to try and get, I know he'll get on because he can't help but show his face. He loves to show his pretty face. So that's why I call him the cat, because he does what he wants, when he wants, how he wants. Maybe I need to get him a litter box. I don't know. All right, guys. So I'm kind of excited here. We have been working for a while. We had hoped to get this happening earlier. So before Zill and I get into a whole bunch of other stuff going on, one of our partners, so if you guys have not got a chance to meet Andrew Dibble, he has been the owner of the Kalkaska Battlers, who is a part of the American Premier Hockey League. Formerly to that, we've been 2 years that we've been partnering together. There's been some changes. You guys might have heard about that. You might have saw it on our Facebook. So what I'm going to do, without further ado, we're going to bring him on. Here is tonight's guest handler, the owner of a new team, and we'll bring that to you in just a moment. Andrew
Guest headliner, brought to you by JR Web Design. Is your website stuck in the Stone Age? Well, you need JR Web Designs. They'll craft you a website that's as awesome as our show.
Andrew, welcome, man. Welcome. I got to tell you, I got to tell you something funny, Andrew. So last week, because I haven't changed any of our Kalkaska Battler stuff, I actually, every time I show a little ad, we got 2 different ads we run for you guys in one of our segments. I'm explaining exactly what's happened to the Kalkaska Battlers. Well, not explaining. So you're here to maybe introduce everybody and give them a little bit of your story, and we'll get a little bit like of who you are, basically, and then we'll get into the details.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I super appreciate coming on. It's definitely been a roller coaster. You introduced me. Everyone calls me Dibs. It kind of stuck through the military. It's been through everything. So it's Dibs. It's what everyone knows me as. Owner of the Battlers for 2 years. We are part of the MIHL to start out with, and then last year we transferred over to the APHL because it had some better opportunities at the time, and that's kind of where we're stuck. But yeah, some huge changes that came across over the past summer. A lot that, or not even summer, like just the past probably 2 months that have been coming about that have brought some stress, but a lot of excitement.
Yeah. So let me just kind of, now I don't have my dates down. Was it about 3 weeks ago you went live and updated everybody. So, I mean, I was just like, whoa, what's going on? So, of course, I joined in. I was a little bit behind catching everything there. And so this is what we all know. The Kalkaska Battlers are no longer. So let's walk through the situation. And I'm going to give you the floor and kind of explain to us kind of what came down.
Yep, absolutely. I am not a fan of hockey drama, which we all know exists. Basically, we had known that we had run into an issue at the end of last season. We lost 4 home games out of our season. We're trying to figure out the last part of the finances. Ended up paying our bill a little bit past what our contract was, but we thought we were good, thought we had worked through everything. We got our entire zero balance out with the Coliseum. Thought we were good. I had a meeting with, at the time, the county administrator and 2 members of the Coliseum, and walked in, thought we were negotiating our contract, and kind of BS'd with them for a little bit. And then the county administrator said, we've got other opportunities we're looking at pursuing. We don't want to renew with the Battlers. So huge gut punch. I sat there and it was just me. I've got my co-owner, Megan Hacker, as well. But yeah, we huge gut punch. I said, is there anything we can do? Like, I've got a primary, backup, tertiary plan that we can work through. It's our second year. We understand there's going to be issues with just getting the contracts done, and we made improvement from year 1 to year 2. We had some of the highest attendance in the league. We had some very, very passionate fans, and he straight up said, nope, nothing you can do. So Megan and I went into fight or flight mode and decided we need to move, we need to rebrand, we need to make this work. And we ended up here in Gaylord, and we're super pumped about it. Ended up, when we did that live video, saying everything and kind of going through stuff, I got a message from the county commissioner of Kalkaska that said that the county administrator made that decision without any of the board's approval.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. So,
so
Megan,
does that mean that it might not have actually happened and they actually weren't able to do that?
Oh yeah, no, he definitely, any type of that situation, he's supposed to get full board approval for. But we were under the understanding, because he came in and said he was basically speaking on behalf of the board and the county, that was the end all be all. So the county commissioners of Kalkaska have been absolutely fantastic working through, just kind of talking with us, and they let Megan and I go to the commissioners meeting via Zoom and kind of voice our opinions. And turns out we're not the only ones that have had issues with the same people, and it just, we take everything we can as a blessing, and another door opens, and we're ready to hit the ground running. I mean, we've already hit the ground running. We're ready to start sprinting.
So where is Gaylord in comparison to Kalkaska?
45-minute. Gaylord is 45 minutes, basically east of Kalkaska.
Okay, so closer towards, headed towards Detroit and that.
No, I mean, in a way, we're basically, Kalkaska is about 45 minutes off the 75, and we're right on the 75. So we're about an hour south of the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And
so
what
go
league
ahead.
is it you're moving into?
What's that?
What league is it you're moving into?
Same league. So we're still in the same league. Luckily, I've got a good connection and a good relationship with the president of the league, and me being the vice president of the league. We were able to transition to the same league because we still have a lot of roots and a lot of groundwork and things that we have. So there's no big loss or any big hiccups that we're going to run into staying in the same league.
Right.
Okay, maybe tell us a little bit about the new name.
Heck yeah. So we decided to go the Northern Michigan Warhounds, even though we're based in Gaylord. We want to be, there's some other, the MIHL has some other teams in Northern Michigan, but we want to be the premier hockey, semi-pro hockey here in Northern Michigan. We still have a lot of fans in Kalkaska and sponsors and partners that we had. We don't want them to think that we just up and abandon them, and that's why we've done the live videos. And we want that mentality of, we're not just in Gaylord, we're in Northern Michigan. It's a huge thing. It's a huge deal for us. Megan and I both live in Gaylord, so it's perfect for us, and it kind of puts us in our backyard to start making the connections that we have start working for us. And we kind of wanted to go with Megan when we did it. Pardon my language. She's like, we're pissed, so we're gonna go and we're gonna figure out something that is Northern Michigan kind of related. We love the sound of the Warhounds. I'm a veteran. Her uncle, great uncle, was one of the first service members, or was the first service member lost in World War II from Gaylord. And we've got a lot of connections and good roots with military here, so we wanted to go with that. And the pack mentality thing is, we're coming out with our claws showing, and we're ready to show what we've got here in Gaylord.
So for me, I got to tell you, you are like a whiz at your marketing and how you put stuff together. I mean, I love the Kalkaska Battlers, the whole theme, the feel, how you are able to kind of market that and what you did, Andrew, or Dibs, as I'll call you, I guess.
You can call me Andrew.
It's all good. Dibs. But now with
dibs on dibs.
You got dibs on dibs. So now this name, guys, we're going to put out afterwards. We'll put it in the actual comment section and everything for you guys. But we'll actually give you links to their Facebook and their YouTube and a whole bunch of stuff that you can be able to follow. And then look out for on our X as well for both mine and Pawel for our @hockey_2 and @REVNAB. We'll get a whole bunch of this stuff out for you guys so you can be able to follow. So the question everyone's going to be asking that we're following you from anywhere, they're going to be asking, okay, so what is it going to be different? Is it the same YouTube? Is it a whole new page? Are you going to still be offering live streaming of games? How's that all going to work? Do you know that yet?
Yep, it's all the exact same. So the cool part is my MBA is in marketing. So I'm not about to completely throw everything away. So if you go on our Facebook page, it says Northern Michigan Warhounds. And then in parentheses, kind of like a maiden name, it says Kalkaska Battlers so that people don't lose us. But we don't want to lose our fans. We don't want to lose our following there. Same thing with YouTube. It's going to be across the same thing. We're not going to delete our Battlers stuff. It's a huge part of our history. And that's people are like, oh, well, why aren't you the Northern Michigan Battlers, or why don't you keep that there? Respect to the fans and the community. We built it up there. That's what it is. We respect Kalkaska for what they are. It's where it was born, and it's where it's going to be laid to rest. It's kind of how it is, and that's why we've rebranded. I mean, different colors. We wanted to go completely away from it, not for the negative aspect, but just out of respect for the Battlers organization. But yeah, everything else is under. So the Facebook page, if you're looking for it, is Northern Michigan Warhounds. Everything else is Know My Warhounds. So NOMI Warhounds is kind of our short hashtag because it's super easy, it's quick, and it's quick off the tongue.
Are you going to get many of the Kalkaska fans coming down to Gaylord to watch your home games?
We're hoping we are. We know some people felt kind of slighted by the decision. It wasn't ours, and that's kind of what we wanted to do, was prove like, hey, this wasn't our decision. We love Kalkaska. We love the part. And I feel people feel slighted, and it is what it is. But the cool part is we'll have some people, when we played Gaylord the first year in the MAHL, we had half their fan base that was in the stands, half the fans were ours. So we're hoping that we'll get people down there. Even if they're not, we've already got I work ABA. I work with autistic community. We've already got an ABA night that we're scheduling. We're going to have all those out here. We've got our Veterans Night planned already, and we're working. I actually just talked to the captain at the fire station here. We're going to do a charity kickball or softball game. We're already part of the Knights of Columbus golf tournament. Like we're getting involved, and we're going to let people know we're here.
Man. Okay. So I just got a text from someone. And so this is the question that they have. What teams do you play? Cause they're not familiar with the APHL. And by the way, just to shout out, hi, Nancy. Nancy's in Vegas. She's a new follower. She's been checking out. So Nancy, this is the American Premier Hockey League that we're talking about. It's a semi-pro for men. and they're in northern Michigan, essentially, if you can move over there. And we will have links to be able to send you stuff out. I know you're all excited. You want to talk about those Vegas Golden Knights and stuff. We will come to that. So just hang in there, Nancy. Don't move away from us. So the text that I got wants to know about the other teams. So maybe just tell us, who are you competing against? What are some of the teams, and what kind of hockey can they expect is what we're the question.
Yep, absolutely. So right now we've got a team. I'm going to try to remember all these off the top of my head. We've got a team out of Lincoln Park, Michigan, which is the Detroit area. We've got a team out of Rockford, Michigan, which is kind of by Muskegon. We've got a team out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Team out of Toledo, Ohio, team out of Worcester, Ohio, team basically outside of the outskirts of Pittsburgh, a team out of Buffalo, and possibly a team in Hudson Valley, and then possibly there's talk of a couple more. We're trying to build some in northern Michigan. Unfortunately, we're fighting with the MIHL. We had a team coming out of St. Ignace, but the MIHL snagged them and promised them less travel. It is what it is. We'll build it up, but we're looking to try to get to 10 teams by the end of the season. It is, we were semi-pro, but I believe like Canadian wise, it's referred to as like senior A type deal. And that's kind of what we go for. But we consider ourselves kind of like a second chance working man's league. The kids that are coming out of ACHA that didn't make the Fed cut, that didn't make the college cut, or had a family or something and just want to keep playing competitive hockey. We had a guy play with us this year that played in the AHL for a little while. We've got other guys that have played senior A all over. We've got kids that have played D1, D2, D3. So it's all over, and we've got some good stuff coming this year. We're waiting for finalization from one of the companies out here, but they're quite possibly offering housing and jobs for some of our players that we're bringing up. So that's going to be able to bring some more players. Our goalie, one of our star goalies from last year, is from California. So we're hoping we can bring some more talent from across the U.S. If we can say, hey, come up here, play on the weekends. We'll get you a job, some housing, kind of build you some roots for the winter. They'll be hucking tubes out at one of the ski resorts. And it's a beautiful relationship that we've built with them out here.
Okay. No, absolutely. That's a lot of stuff that you have to organize behind the scenes. So do you sometimes end up billeting some of the guys as they're kind of shifting into town and moving around for you and the wife?
So we don't. We had a gentleman that was amazing that ended up billeting 3 of our guys up in Kalkaska. That was awesome. We had some baseball billeting families that were talking about doing it, but they said the season was too long. So now we're gonna work with Treetops and a couple other organizations and industries out here so that they get billeting from their jobs, so that we don't have to worry about it instead of trying to find a place for them to rent and get a hockey house and all that stuff. So we're trying to give them a better opportunity to feel really integrated. One of the captains from our first year is named Sean Doyle, who helped build some of the branding with me as well. Built such a relationship to the point that when we moved to Gaylord, one of the first questions I got from people was like, oh, is Doyle coming back? Even my girlfriend's 6-year-old was like, is Doyle coming back? She legit cried when he got called up to the Fed because he wasn't playing for the red team anymore.
Okay, so just a couple of explanations, and then we're going to let you go here, Dibs. So first one is the states that are connected. Is it just Michigan, or is there a couple other states that these teams are from? Because some people that aren't from the area won't be as familiar.
Absolutely. So Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York.
Okay. All right. And then you mentioned a couple other leagues, like you mentioned the Fed. Again, especially for our Canadians. So we're about 55% Canadian, about 40% American. So a lot of the Canadians have no clue. And we know the Americans that are in the West, way down low, they have no clue where anybody is. They don't even know where Montana is. So maybe you can just explain to them about what the Fed is.
Yep. So the Fed is the FPHL. Everyone refers to it as the Fed. It was like the Federal Prospects Hockey League, but no one refers to it as a long name. It's the Fed. It's basically a step up from what we're doing. A lot of our players, I think we had 7 or 8 players go up to that level. From there, they'll go into what's called the SPHL. From there, we start getting into really big minor league hockey. So you're getting into the ECHL, AHL, and then straight into the show. So, but the Fed is basically the next level up. It's a little bit more competitive, a little bit more on the pro level. They're playing more Friday, Saturday, Sundays, whereas we're basically just Saturday and a couple Sundays scattered in.
Excellent. Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time out of a busy schedule as you're going around. You've done a great job with the changeover. Looking forward to doing some work with you again next year. It's going to be a great season. And when does the season start for everyone?
It's going to be starting in October.
October. The early October or mid?
It'll be mid-October. We have a league meeting scheduled for next week to start going over that. We're looking at our schedule being released mid-July, right after the FPHL and SPHL. We'll get into there and we'll release our schedule probably, right beginning to mid-July, and then our season will probably start beginning to mid-October, depending on how all that looks. I got to do I got to do a Halloween game, so I got to try to get a Halloween scheduled in there.
Excellent. So everyone, the Northern Michigan Warhounds, no longer the team that you've heard on here for the last couple seasons, the Kalkaska Battlers, are basically now the Northern Michigan Warhounds. All right.
We're already looking at our goal horn to kind of mimic the Coyotes' goal horn, where it's a howl. We're going to try to get the whole crowd to howl when we score.
Well, I don't think they're going to use it unless they decide they want to use it in Utah. Steal the Coyote thing, so you should be okay. Now? Is it a mammoth call? So, all right, Jim.
I don't know. I don't know what a mammoth does.
Yeah. So, all right, man. It's great. Maybe again, I know we had tried to do a little bit more last season. We'll definitely try and touch base into next year, maybe a little earlier on as your guys are coming in and stuff like that to get a couple interviews in. I know we said that for the last 2 years and we just never worked it. Either I'm already scheduled full and ahead of time, or you guys are already in the middle of playoffs by the time we're ready for guests. So, all right, you have a wonderful one. Thanks again, Andrew. Guys, again, owner of the Northern Michigan Warhounds.
Guest headline brought to you by JR Web Design. Is your website stuck in the Stone Age? Well, you need JR Web Designs. They'll craft you a website that's as awesome as our show.
Oh, man, that's so awesome. Thank you, Andrew. That's great. Isn't he a marketing genius? Don't you love how they've gone about that whole thing? You got to check out have you saw their videos yet?
No, I haven't seen the videos, but I mean, just the changes and be able to just so quickly, get on it and do it, take care of it and do it in a way that is appealing. That's a selling point. That, like you said, that's some marketing geniusness.
What I find, I could not imagine the stress and the pressure to pull all that off and then still live a life outside of just hockey. You know what I mean? I just know just trying to run our hockey brand of two guys. I mean, let alone running a team and all the extras and all the sponsors and the changes.
Yeah, but Pavel's like a whole team you have to deal with.
That's true. You got so Pavel. If you don't hear this, you'll probably have heard it on the rerun. So, all right, we have a whole bunch of stuff that we want to be able to cover here, guys. So, Lost Trucker, why don't we get into the little piece? I'm going to go to Around the Rink right now, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other junior before we get into what's happening in the NHL here. So, guys, this segment is brought to you by Around the Rink, and guess what?
If you're a fan of hard-hitting, exciting hockey, catch the Kalkaska Battlers.
Around the Rink
is brought to you by the Kalkaska Battlers. Let them be your local hockey heroes.
Let the Northern Michigan Warhounds be your local hockey. So you have to change that up. It can't be local hockey. So thanks, Dibs. Now I have to come up with a new design and do all this extra work. No, I'm joking. It's going to be great. I actually saw some of their, a couple little quick of their advertising bits on their Facebook page and stuff, and that they put out there, and it was wonderful. So let's come back to who we were talking. You let me know. You went with the fam. You got out there. You tried to leave a minute early because the local team, the Chilliwack Chiefs, did not make it. They were not going to win that game. You're saying it was 4-1. And the fam says, where are you going? It's a minute left in the game. Now, does family watch hockey regularly?
No, actually, they don't mind going to the odd game, but they're not. They go more for the camaraderie and the enjoyment of just doing something with family and other people.
Right.
So it was actually surprising to me afterward when they say they were both really into it and they were shocked I was leaving a minute early.
So basically, you got called out.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, love it. So the game, what was it like? It's a playoff game. You talked about the previous game. What's the intensity level? Because this is the first year with the teams that had actually came over from the AJHL. So the previous year they had their own little mini tournament and going on, and they did some stuff. This year was fully integrated. Now,
correct.
What was that like? Did it change anything you think in the hockey? Did it make it better? Is it still about the same? What was your impression?
I think overall, what I watched the game last year with Chilliwack, and they definitely did seem to be a lot more in sync, playing together a lot better. It looked like it was actual real coaching had occurred. Now, whether that had anything to do with the influx of the AHL teams coming over, or that was just a matter of the team itself, I don't know. But I do know I was really disappointed with the fandom. And I talked to a bunch of people in the place in the Coliseum, and like they're only sitting at around 2,500 fans on a regular basis. And even a year ago, like when they weren't doing so well, it was, I'd say almost 4,000. It was a way fuller crowd.
And they're in they're in the Fred Page Cup.
Yeah, it's like the big. So I don't know if it's because it's gone so far into the summer that they don't have it. But the one of the season ticket holders I was talking to, he said that most of the season ticket holders are actually seniors. And they're actually have a lot of concern with the potential of the WHL coming, because they're hearing that they're not just going to increase prices, but they may be triple the prices they presently are for the Chiefs. And they're kind of a little peed because it's not the team, the ownership, or anyone that wants this. It's literally the city has finally gotten full ownership of the arena, and they've decided they wanted a WHL team again.
Yeah, and so here there's a couple things that are going on. How much was the ticket approximately?
They were 22 for adults and 10 for like teenagers, like 18 down to 12.
So most gate tickets are generally around 26, 27 across the league, so for WHL. So that's interesting.
More like the season tickets right now are. I mean, there will be more games with the WHL, but their season tickets for the Chiefs right now is sitting at 300. I think he said 350 or something. And they're some of the best seats in the house, right center ice at the very top on the mezzanine. And they're hearing that they're going to be 1,200.
So, and interesting enough, I was just pulling up some information, what's happening. So if you think Penticton, who just wrapped up their last year, they were in the other against Brooks, who actually didn't make it. They actually only charged $13 for tickets in Penticton. So they're already much higher in the BCHL. So it sounds like most teams are around $20, but the WHL. So that'll be interesting. I'm probably having a hard time believing they would triple it, maybe 35. But it is interesting. I didn't know that the owners actually own the arena now.
No, not the city owns the arena now.
Oh, the city. Oh, okay. Who owned it previously to the city?
It was it sounded, from my understanding, it was a conglomerate of business owners that had it. But Chilliwack, basically it was this spring. I believe they were telling me, I think they were saying March or April, where possession of the Coliseum reverted back to the city of Chilliwack.
Oh, so this could be a chance. This could be a little political play. Let's make some money on something like this potentially, right?
Correct. And
okay.
What I find really astounding about it is already like last year when I was down in Wenatchee with the newly moved Winnipeg our Manitoba team that moved down to Wenatchee, I paid $10 for my ticket, and it was a packed house. And I don't understand why they want to raise prices and have less than half the Coliseum full when they could half the prices, have the entire Coliseum full, and be selling all kinds of merchandise and concessions and have everybody talking about it constantly. It makes no sense to me.
So, okay, here's interesting. Are the city willing, and I reported on this when this was first coming out, the ballpark on the expansion fee this last year for Penticton was rumored to be $15 million US. Now, part of that was about $2.5 million they had to pay to the Kelowna Rockets for rights because, of course, going into the WHL, Penticton fairly close to Kelowna, or at least they believe it's close enough. That's going to affect their market. Frankly, I would, if I live in Penticton, I'm not going all the way to Kelowna to go to a game, and I can't see anyone from Kelowna going all the way to maybe a real diehard, a few games, but you're not doing season tickets.
Well, I thought the Rockets were Kamloops.
No, it's the Kelowna Rockets. Yeah, it used to be the Kamloops Blazers before.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's well, you've been you've been following the BCHL so much. This is what I do find amazing, and I'm going to say it with you on the air, not with my co-host Pawel, because I find he just kind of goes, and he goes on, and he gives me some political answer. I know you're not going to give me a political answer. I'd like to get your take. I've tried to, and so Luke Ravel, who came on earlier in the season, Campbell River Storm of the Vancouver Island Junior Hockey League, who is also now independent. They're not with Hockey Canada. If you guys follow our early episode, so he also does a lot of work around with the BCHL, and they send players from VIJHL now, and they sent some up to the BCHL because they need some players. It's a great feeder system. They said, let's make this work. The BCHL has been the number one supplier to the NCAA out of Canada. Wonderful supplier. They actually have, I think, almost around 500 or 600 alumni. I forget, guys, on my stat numbers. Interesting enough, though, the previous year, one of the things that ended up happening is when the AJHL got word of specifically Brooks and a few of the teams, the Sherwood Park Crusaders, going, and they're going to be leaving to the BCHL, they immediately suspended everything. And this is the arguments. Now, Sean Mullen, if you're following, by the way, guys, Sean Mullen was the former play-by-play broadcaster. He now does sports broadcasting for radio, so he's kind of back in the business, but he actually called for the Swift Current Broncos. He had the pleasure of calling Stuart Skinner versus Carter Hart when the Swift Current Broncos actually won the championship. So, but he loves the changes that happened. And I remember, Sean, you actually said, if you are listening, I want to honor that. You did say that you kind of felt like, well, do you want to honor someone who could be your champion and then is leaving the next year? But look at what the BCHL did this year. When they knew Penticton was leaving, they didn't immediately move them. It was brought out early. So now they've talked about Chilliwack. It could be as early as the following year or the year after. They know it, but they're honoring the teams. They're honoring the history. I think that they have a lot of integrity. The only reason they pluck people from other places is because of what they offer without some of the restrictions. But people have to give up playing for Hockey Canada going there, and they're no longer sanctioned, right? But they were taking a different route. I don't know. What do you think about that on how the AJHL penalized teams, but yet the BCHL just seemed to bless them and move on?
Well, to me, it's like the difference between a what do you call it? A good, no, not a good, but you have your candy ass divorces, and then you have They're whining about everything. They're trying to nail and make digs at the other partner and everything, can get every dime and nickel and penny they can out of the situation. And then you have other divorces that occur, and they're like totally cool. Like they realize that they're both going different directions and they're wishing each other the best. And to me, that's the more mature way of doing it. And that's what I see, the BCHL as having done with like Penticton Bees moving on, and possibly, with Chilliwack, but it won't be the Chiefs. I have been told it definitely will be an entirely different team. And there's even talk of Chiefs moving to another place, being relocated.
Wow.
Because
there are other towns, and it could be from the KIJHL or somewhere like that too, in the Kootenay International Junior Hockey League. Interesting enough. So guys, I got to give you a little bit. I'm going to say what Jordan said here. So Jordan says not a lot of young kids around in Penticton, just a lot of old people. So interesting.
No, that's not so true anymore. Not so true anymore. Not like it was 30 years ago.
Interesting. The average viewers. I was trying to see if I could pull up some stats, Jordan. The average viewer used to be 49. That was in Penticton. Now the average NHL viewer is 35. So I am interested because they have a great following and a lot of people that pay for those tickets. So I am going to do some work behind the scenes and go find out what is the average age of the people who have attended games in Penticton over the last, say, decade. So that's a great question.
It's like, the one season ticket holder I was talking to, he was telling me, like Chilliwack, most of the season ticket holders are seniors.
Yeah. Okay. Jordan says 35 is the new 49. So they think they're from 35, but they're actually 49. I'm still holding at 49 too. So
exactly. 49 forever.
But it is interesting because he could be right. Just like you said, there's a lot of older retirees that have season tickets and they love the game of hockey, around it. So that'll definitely be interesting. All right, let's move over from the BCHL. So right now, I haven't pulled it up. So Jordan, I haven't got to see. I don't got my subscription to TSN just went down, and I've been so busy working. And I was gonna. So guys, this shows you how cheap I am. So my mom, I won't tell you how old my mom is. Just remember, I'm 55. So my mom, who is getting older, love you, Mom. She actually gave me her password to get into her TSN account. So when you're 55 and you're in your mom's account, that just shows you how cheap you must be. Anyway, I never got in today.
How much your mom is into hockey?
That's true. Maybe she's maybe she's actually a ticket holder for the Penticton Bees. Okay, so I'm losing my train of thought here. So just coming back for a sec here. The Memorial Cup. So just the Canadian Hockey League, the CHL, has 3 leagues. So that's the Western Hockey League, who we were just talking about the expansion, the Penticton Bees moving in, paid $50 million, etc. That's the Western side. Then there's Ontario, has its own group called the Ontario Hockey League. And then in Quebec and the Maritimes, it's called the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. They have the winners of all 3, and then each year there's a host team. If the host team wins the whole thing, then the team who is the runner-up will actually be added as the 4th. But if the host team most often is not the winner of whatever league it is, then that host team gets to be in the Memorial Cup with the other 3 winners. Right now, so this year, the Quebec, into the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, the Rimouski Oceanic and the Moncton Wildcats, who by the way have Caleb Denoyer, and then I have ranked number 5 right now this season. Then the WHL, that was the Medicine Hat Tigers, who literally dominated the WHL playoffs. They took Andrew Crystal and Berkeley Catton of the Seattle Kraken. And Andrew Crystal is the prospect for the Washington Capitals. They were just eating the WHL, the Spokane Chiefs. but they got annihilated quickly in those playoff games. And Caden Lindstrom, for all you Columbus Blue Jacket fans, he's come back. For Calgary Flame fans, Andrew Bashaw got back. So they were fully loaded. They went in and they won all 3 of their games by, I believe it was 11-6, a total score, all 3 of those games. And they're awaiting the final of tonight's game of Rimouski and Moncton. London, even though they're a powerhouse, did not make the final. But those series anybody can be a winner, but it's been a while since the WHL has won. By the way,
Hunter's London Knights, they actually lost their first game in 11 games, playoff games or something like that.
Going into the Memorial Cup there.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan's got something on to say. Just to clarify, I love Penticton. I think it's a fun, but I have spent a lot of time in the town. I can tell you the bars close early and all young kids leave town. Everything is out of date in town as well. Okay. I think Jordan's got some money. He might be spending some time there. Maybe he's in retirement. Is he the 35 who is now the new 49? Are you, Jordan?
Maybe. But I remember, like, when I was in my 30s and I was living out there, it was like 3 a.m. before we closed the bars down.
So I got to tell you before we kind of go to a couple more things around the men's net. So everyone, Lost Trucker, who also goes by Zill, had been on. I think you and Jordan were on 3 seasons ago. When we,
4, maybe.
Man, I can't even remember. I think it was season 3 when we kind of went to full seasons, because we used to do 2 seasons in 1 year. We do 2 seasons, kind of like Big Brother or The Voice or stuff like that. Even though we're nothing like them, we are reality TV kind of. So anyway, Jordan and Zill got into a debate on fighting in hockey and roughing, all that kind of stuff. What should be? And I have to tell you, that night, we had over 27,000 hits, and that week we had over 45,000 views. You guys rocked that show. It was interesting. So we had one more show 4 months later, or 5 months later at the end of the year. We had around 35,000 when Duncan Keith got traded to Edmonton. That was showing you how far back this was. And then Meta came along on Facebook and literally started blocking and changing and doing everything. So we still do good for our shows. We still bring in between 5,000 and 7,000, generally speaking, just strictly on here. And then through all and mostly for a lot of you, even on right now, we got we got 40 of you running live right now. Most of you are on X. So guys, thank you for watching on X. We appreciate, you can't comment on X yet, but just send to Elon Musk and talk to him. Say you want to get some comments in, and maybe we'll do something around there. So anyway, Draft 2, he's in his Draft 2 year. Gavin McKenna is leading the men's hand Tigers, so make sure you catch the final if you can do anything. Now, did I hear it right? Did Dibs of the North Michigan, it's Northern Michigan or North Michigan, are they calling them? I just forgot.
Northern Michigan.
Here we go. Northern Michigan. There you guys go. Warhounds. No, were you gonna say War Dogs? So again, now I even lost track where I was actually talking and going from. He was talking about Musqueam. So where is it are you familiar with that area?
Sammy.
Okay, so
I know I've been through there. I honestly don't remember exactly where that's located, though.
So everybody will remember Youngstown and Musqueam. And if I'm announcing your name wrong, because I don't have Pawel here to correct me, you ever notice how
it's just outside of Cleveland? Okay,
so do you guys ever notice? By the way, and I can talk. I can talk dirt on Pawel because he's not here. I don't have to argue with him. He likes to call me out on my names. And and he likes to tell me how I'm not saying things right, but he makes mistakes all the time. And I go to correct him. And he goes, oh yeah, I meant that. It's just like, he's always got a reason, that guy. No wonder that's why we send him to Istanbul. Get him out of here. Get that guy out of here. No, I'm having fun with you, Pawel. It's great. So we talked about 2 teams wanting to join the OHL, and that was Youngstown in the United States Hockey League, the USHL. That's their junior, their major junior, essentially. They're called still Junior A, but there are major junior, essentially, down in the United States. Anyway, them and the Musqueam Lumberjacks Well, the Musqueam Lumberjacks, who, remember, we're wanting actually this next season to get into the OHL, and they could have if they could have got through it. There is talk, and they still are talking with lawyers because they do want to get out of that deal. However, big money has been offered by the NHL and is going into the USHL. So we'll see if that might change their mind, because if they can give more money to the teams and the owners, it might make it a little less attractive to leave. But they just won what's called the Clark Cup, guys, down in the United States Hockey League. And they
is actually on Lake Michigan, just to the west of Grand Rapids.
Okay, perfect. There you go. And they took out the Waterloo Blackhawks in the final game in Game 5, 3-2 overtime. Yeah. If you get a chance, so some of you're like, well, where do I actually see these games? So Flow Sports, you can get actually SHL, ECHL, AHL. You can get all that stuff. You go to Flow Sports. I believe it's, I can't remember the prices.
A subscription this year.
Yeah, and you can catch it from anywhere with your website address. So again, Flow Sports, that's one of those places, and it's great because you can even see over in Europe and catch some of the games that are just kind of going on, right?
So WHL wasn't going there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe they should too, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, so essentially, yeah. So what's happening is the USHL is done, the BCHL done. All these other teams, I'll give you some updates on some of the other leagues that have been going on. These are just some of the ones we've spent time this year kind of around. But that's it for Around the Rink.
If you're a fan of hard-hitting, exciting hockey, catch the Kalkaska Battlers.
Around the Rink
is brought to you by the Kalkaska Battlers. Let them be your local hockey heroes.
And that is actually the Northern Michigan Warhounds. So we are back. The Northern Michigan Warhounds. All right, let's get into a little bit of stuff here. I want to get in, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. What I'd like to talk about, I'll give some updates here and there, but the NHL playoffs are going right now. So, Zill, have you caught the game tonight yet? I haven't saw nothing.
No, I haven't. I have to go inside and watch.
Okay, so I believe it started at 6:00, so I'm going to go back and saying here. Sometimes you guys give us spoilers on here, and we know, but we don't have a choice.
I never give spoilers.
What's that?
I never give spoilers.
Oh, but Jordan does. Jordan likes to get spoilers out there. He likes, especially.
Oh yeah, because he wants somebody to hit him to get in a fight with.
Well, that's it. He just wants to get in a hockey fight, right? He loves his hockey fights.
Like he's really one of those fans out in the on the party deck that's getting arrested.
So someone just wrote that we should have round 2 next season. Jordan versus Zill. Talk about hockey fighting once again, and maybe we can get back and hit 50,000 this time. All right. It's a great one, Dave. Jordan, man, thanks so much for adding to the show. You are awesome, dude. I definitely appreciate you. Oh, look at that. So Nancy's telling us, she's like, I have it on now. Okay, Nancy, don't give anything away, okay? So I got to tell you something. When Nancy first came onto the show, hang on. Jordan is saying, let's do it. Okay. So maybe we'll book an early season, preseason. Well, we're in the preseason then, Jordan. We'll book you guys on. Just make sure that Zill's not traveling somewhere and lost again. Problem is, I can't get Zill on sometimes because she's a lost trucker. So, but anyway, so Nancy, never. So anyway, Nancy, I got to tell you guys something. So when Nancy came on, I couldn't read the title, and I saw Prather, and I thought it said Panthers. So I thought you said you were Nancy Ford Panthers, meaning a Panthers fan. And so I know I saw you actually make a correction. You said, no, Vegas Golden Knights. So I do get it, Nancy. Thanks again for joining in. We appreciate it. Way up here in cold Western Canada. No, actually, I'm boiling today. What's it like out in Chilliwack?
I'm missing driving through Vegas. This being laid up sucks.
Maybe that's it. You just need to get your bearings before you get moving around again sometime soon here. So Nancy, thanks again for jumping in. All right, so let's get into this. Let's talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs. We have the Dallas Stars versus the Edmonton Oilers, and we have the Florida Panthers versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, something interesting came out. You know Chris Pronger? Do you remember him?
Yes, I do remember.
Okay. So Chris Pronger, again, different people. If you're from the Alberta area, you know him well. He was here for 1 year, went to the Stanley Cup in 2006. He left. There was controversy. People have their different opinions. I frankly know personally what happened, but I will stay away from the personal just because I don't think it's always fit to share some things. And I'm not into getting into arguments with you, whether I'm right or not. But Chris Pronger, people would burn his jersey. They were doing all this stuff. He loved his time playing here. He loved it. Says it was the best arena he had played in his life. The place was rocking during the playoffs. And it was, if you see some stuff. That's when O Canada was sung for the first time by the crowd. They just took over. It was so loud. And Paul Lamoriello, who was the opera singer who actually did all the anthems back then before he passed away. Anyway, this is Chris Pronger's tweet. He says, and tell me if you agree with this, Il. He says, adversity built him 966 games, 14 broken noses, 1 sports psychologist. I think that was when he left Edmonton, probably. 2 arrests.
Oh, I need a psychologist when I left Edmonton too.
And he says you don't get strength without struggles, and your road to success in hockey runs through adversity. What's your take?
I think that's true in all of life, in everything. Like when you're going down easy street, nothing's difficult, no problems. Watch out, because the first time if you run into something 5 years later, oh my God, it's going to knock you out and you're going to be gone and out for the count.
Okay, so you think that this applies to the Stanley Cup for teams?
For adversity?
Yeah, so you know how people talk, they've had experience, they've been there, they've done that. We may be veteran. So there's 2 parts to it. A team as a whole, maybe being there the previous year or getting close to there, and also teams having more veterans who have been there.
There is you can go through all the different team sports, and it's very, very, very true. It's like teams that keep repeating and repeating. Even when you look at their personnel, you're going, well, they don't have enough talent. Like they're just not there. But there's such a sense of mentality and the cohesiveness of the team and what they built over the years that they almost cannot help but be going to the championship or getting close to it every time, until all of a sudden it's like they finally get knocked to such a point where some of the veterans retire, others, the up and comers, say, I want out of here. I got to go somewhere where I have a better chance. And all of a sudden, boom, it's like they fall off out of the sky and are, in pieces on the ground.
So essentially, when you go through the adversity, the teams that struggle, let's just say ownership, management, president of hockey operations, general managers, coaches, their job is to keep that team and help them learn how to go through adversity. They're going to have a much higher chance. And if not, that's where we're seeing teams just being disassembled. And let's just be honest. Yeah. I didn't plan on talking about this, but that would be a good example probably of Vancouver.
Oh, yeah. Like what's happening in Vancouver is just atrocious on every level, like right up from ownership into president, general management, coaching, players, and possibly it's probably even into like the support staff. Like it's just atrocious the way it's gone. And it's like there's so much infighting and everything that I don't know what they can do to truly address it. Because as long as you're keeping the majority of everybody who's there, especially up at the top, it's going to be hard to get it changed. It's going to be a long process.
He is getting older. I know a lot of people say, what does Alvin actually do, right? Because they all think Rutherford runs the show. I'm told that that's not the case, but, or is it the case that he doesn't feel like that, but he thinks a lot like Rutherford because he's been trained by Rutherford?
Well, I think it was very true when they both first went there that Rutherford was. I think I do believe Rutherford did fully give him all the reins. But as you said, he's so trained in one with Rutherford now at this point in time. It's like he doesn't have his own mind. It's like he's just doing everything Rutherford would do. That's what I feel personally, right? It's in my observations of it. It's like, and I honestly, I'm starting to believe part of this problem and issue is the ownership at Quilini. It's and for that to change, that's another story in itself.
Oh man, do you realize I'm just looking like our time's almost up, and I haven't covered. We have about a half an hour with the material to cover. Okay.
Oh, you mean we haven't talked about the Stanley Cup Playoffs 2024 2.0?
Okay, so here's some interesting facts talking about adversity right now. So Carolina has they have been fighting with Brind'Amour, getting back every year. They say this team is down, they're going to fall apart, and somehow they manage to stand back up and get back up there. They work on good their goaltending. They never pay a premium. They don't have the superstar, as in, you know, like an Austin Matthews or McDavid, or they don't have essentially they have like a Jason Robertson with Dallas, with someone like Sebastian Aho and stuff. Really good players, but they're just missing, say, that star. Svenko, everyone thought he would become that, and he didn't. Now, that adversity, everyone is worried if they get knocked out tonight, or if they get knocked out of this series at all and they don't move on. Do you think that there'd be changes, or do you think that's adversity and you bring it back again and you do the same thing again?
Well, they had the chance last year to move Brind'Amour and all his cronies underneath him, and they decided that they'd go with him. So if they do change and move him out, end the contract, which teams seem to do now, like as quickly as they you get a new fan, in the seats, you get a new coach on the bench. It's like, so if they do that, that means that it's going to be more than just Brind'Amour. It's probably like almost all the support staff there, but I don't know the ownership that well, and I hear that
cheap.
They kind of like keeping things cheap, yeah. So for them to go after a big star, it's like, or like if they're going after a different coach, it's like, how are they going to, like, if they want to stay cheap, I think they need to keep Brind'Amour in there.
But they weren't cheap because they went after Rantanen, right? They were willing to pay the big dollars. I believe. Yeah. I have word that they had a contract ready to go for $13.5 million.
I think they need to hoodwink Alvin and grab Pettersson.
Well, and that's what we don't even have time to go there. So another time we'll have to. I know you and I have these discussions all the time, but definitely when it comes to making a change, I think Pettersson is on his way out. By the way, I think there's a lot of and they have no choice. It's not what they want to do; it's what they need to do. But they need to. They will not take nothing for him. They will, otherwise they'll just stick with what they have. So, okay, so let's go a little bit further. Florida, they're poised to go back to the third Stanley Cup. We're not going to get into the tax stuff and playing and players and all this stuff. Let's move over to the Dallas series right now. I just want to mention a stat, and then I want to talk about the hatred and the physicality that's going on right now, the dirty plays, the penalties, and that's how we're going to end today. We're going to go past 8 o'clock. We're going to stick around for a little bit for you guys. It's two guys in overtime, not two guys in hockey talk now. We hit 8 o'clock. We have to keep the tradition alive, even when, obviously, Pawel the cat is a little too busy right now in Istanbul sleeping to come on. I don't get it, man. If it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I would be on this show. I wouldn't care. Yeah. So I don't know what's up. I think he's slacking. So I want to throw out a stat to just show people. Okay. You can go any which way. I'm not really getting into debate because we need to talk about what's happened in the physicality of the Oilers Star Series. Okay. Career playoff games. Okay. McDavid has 140 points. Okay. In the playoffs, far less games. And Patrick Kane has 138 and got 3 cups. Interesting. There's 2 ways to look at this. Kane didn't have to have a lot of points and he could win cups because he was a leader. So this is one argument. Another argument says it just shows you how talented and skilled individually McDavid is. Let's go to some more crazy stats. So Connor McDavid, he has 140, okay, that he's hit now. So Wayne Gretzky got to 140 plus points in 64 games, the fastest ever in history. Lemieux did it in only 11 games more in 77 games. McDavid has done it in only 11 games more than Lemieux, and so 3rd fastest in history to 89 games. And remember, those guys played in the 80s, late 70s, going into the 80s, and of course into the early 90s. I mean, Lemieux played quite a while still through that time period. It's amazing because McDavid, Bouchard, and Draisaitl, they go up in the playoffs, and we don't have time to get into this, but we'll go an extra 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
The core 4 in Toronto. The problem that they're having is they're not producing like they do in the regular season in the playoffs. Edmonton is actually getting somewhere, but it's because I believe their key people who they're paying more are they're not paying Bouchard. They will next year, believe me.
They will be.
We'll see what happens to the team when they have to deal with the salary next year. But their 2 main guys who are superstars, they're getting a lot of money now, but they're producing at 0.25 points per game higher than regular season.
Yes, exactly.
Do you bring back the core 4 and run it back and sign Marner to whatever, or do you move on and make some big changes and not just let Marner walk and replace him and find somebody else, or do you actually trade somebody else out of that core 4? So I'll give you 1 minute to comment on that. And we're going to go into the fighting.
I honestly believe that it's Morgan Riley that needs to move out. If I was in management, I'd be wanting to keep Marner, but does he really want to stay? That's the question I'd be asking if I was management, and not some measly mouth. Oh yeah, like the team's great. I'd like to be here. I'd like to win a cup. Like some heart to heart with Marner to find that out. But Riley, in my opinion, is the one you got to move. Like, just because a defenseman's, and is a fan favorite and everything. I'm not about all this loyalty stuff. I'm about it doesn't in Toronto. They don't need some name brands there. They're going to get the fans regardless. They could have all Joe Blows on the team, and they're still going to get the fans. So yeah, move Morgan Riley out and possibly Marner if he really doesn't 100% want to stay.
Sorry, Nancy, I didn't see you're in there. First of all, she said boo, DeBauer, and then she went in and said about they have workhorses. Like, think of Brent Burns. That I like that one. That was a good move for a guy that was but that guy still works hard. A lot of teams would still take him. I'm interested to see what the future holds for him. So I mean, that's an interesting take. I'm wondering, I know Stan Bowman, we're going to move back over to the Oilers here and do a wrap up on a short conversation around this. Will take about 3 to 5 minutes. But Stan Bowman brought in John Klingberg and Jake Wallman, and they wanted puck movers. They felt instead of stay-at-home D, which everyone kept saying in Edmonton, in today's game, and you got to wonder, I like the defense. I like them a lot in Toronto this year, but is it because maybe they're just not getting the puck up? And Morgan Riley is not the same guy he was even 2 years ago. So
he's not, and that's what I'm saying. Like overall, I like the defense, teams that they have in that. But I mean, with the price tag you're paying Riley, let's move them. Let's bring in someone else.
Okay, so let's finish this off here with the conversation because just to give everyone a history update for those who have not been following. If you've been following, you have different takes. Injuries. So Rope Hintz got hurt. So he gave a cross-check. It was a regular cross-check that happens to the back of Darnell Nurse. Does it hurt? Oh, yeah. Those hurt constantly. These guys hit hard. It's an ongoing cross-check. However, what he did is he did a back slash, is not looking, and hitting him in the shin pad. It actually hit low, and it caused damage. So he got I think it was a fracture or something along there. So he missed the first game. Everybody in Dallas, when I say everybody, I'm talking online. Probably not the real fans, just the people who like to complain behind Mama's basement, that whole concept, and behind their device. But they're all angry. They want to take out McDavid now. They want to do all this stuff. Now, I'm going to get their Zale because I want to get your thought here. They're upset. They say it needs to have retribution. They play now. Okay, so he sits the next game. He doesn't actually play. And during that game, Connor Brown gets hit by Petrovic. Different people. There was no penalty on the play. There was no suspension. There was no looking into it. I have a different take on it. He was on his down lower and he came up high, hit him in the head, and he's been concussed. He has traveled, just so you know, he traveled today. Connor Brown did down to Dallas. It's only a one game, but he traveled down. So now the fourth game that was played where Edmonton won again, in that game, so Mason Marchment, okay, I want you guys to hear this. At the end of game 2, when Rope Hintz got hurt, Mason Marchment, after game, he made a comment. And he says this after the game. He says, a lot of that stuff, you just keep in the back of your mind. And if the opportunity presents itself, you take your chance. Now, remember, they were already complaining about reffing by their coach. Had already made these comments. Most people get suspensions or fines. Neither one did, which is fine. I think it's silly giving fines because they're complaining about officials. However, Mason Marchment took out, and the wrist is broken on Zach Hyman from a bad hit that should, in my opinion, have been an illegal hit. And it looks like he targeted him after saying that. So now you have this back and forth. You have Dallas fans that are going, oh, serves him right. I hope they take out McDavid next. And they have a guy with and they're still all complaining about the guy who got a fractured ankle on his slash, which was a terrible slash. And it was a penalty. Whether it was 5 or 2, I don't really care. Now, Bouchard in the last game, though, Evan Bouchard, who isn't super aggressive, it is seen. He got caught on tape. He came along and slashed him. It was just more of a hit. It wasn't super hard, didn't come down like a tomahawk, but he hits the exact same area on Rope Hintz, who already you can tell still is not skating the same way. All right. Now it comes out. The coach says, you know what? The referees, I think they have to take care of that, is what Pete says. Then he says, you don't see much of that outside of junior hockey. And this is my thought, and I'm going to let you finish the last thought here. My thought is, yes, it does. In fact, every year I watch the NHL playoffs. I feel like people are dirty. They cheat. They get under your skin. Brad Marchand, we can go Matthew Tkachuk. They do this all the time. And if they know where the injury is, that's why they make them undisclosed if they can. People will target it. The Calgary Flames did it the year when they knew Draisaitl had a bad ankle, and they were hacking it. Now, Oilers fans were mad about that. Of course, now Oilers fans are also mad because we're mad about that, but yet they seem to defend Bouchard going in an ankle, right? Anyway, Give me your take on all that kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Is it normal? Should it be? I know you've had an interesting take on fighting. What's your take on all this dirty kind of stuff going on?
Well, doesn't matter what type of professional team game you're playing, you see it right across the board, right from, community adult leagues all the way up into the top professional leagues of every variety on team sports. And you're not going to get rid of it. The best you can do is try to, and this is part of the reason why I believe getting fighting out of the game is a huge part, because as long as you allow fighting and allow them to do a fight and then literally have no repercussions, no game suspensions, then they think it's okay for them to come back the next game and beat the snot out of the person the next time they see them, no matter what it is, or in the game's gotten totally out of hand. And as long as you allow that, you're not going to get rid of the cheap shit, because literally the cheap stuff arises from that big stuff. And when you allow the big stuff, it doesn't get rid of the little stuff. The little stuff still is going to be there always. And as long as you have people that are super competitive, and when you're, and some of that stuff that happens, in all honesty, it's not purposeful. Even if when they go into the game and they think, okay, if the chance arises, I'm going to, get a cheap shot in on number 5. Well, when the game goes on and all of a sudden something's happening, you don't even recognize sometimes that it's number 5 you're there, and you're not taking a cheap shot. It's just that you're working so damn hard at whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's digging in at the puck or trying to prevent a puck from going in the net, whatever it is, and you move your stick in something in such a way, and you're working so hard and adding so much power to it, and the other person's doing the same thing, that all of a sudden slipsies and oopsies happen. So it's going to keep happening. I mean, the best we can do is start to monitor it better and have results play like the PWHL. The one woman, she's actually gotten suspended 3 times in a single year, and they only play like 30-some games. We need to start doing that to these male hockey players in the NHL.
It's like 10% of the games, suspended every 10% of games. So I told you, you get to end with your thoughts. We got some stuff. You got people riled up. There's some disagreeing. So guys, we're going to take this conversation and I'm going to move it into next week. I do want to let everybody know that next week specifically, we have Peter Harling, who is the former, I believe he's no longer, he's just stepped down, the managing editor for Dober Prospects. He's taking a well-needed break. I've been able to convince him to come on live with us next week so we can talk all around drafting and how the ranking systems and everything around there. And then as soon as we're done that, we're going to come in and we're going to pull up some of your conversation. And I think I'm going to take a little bite of what you just said, and then we're going to let people argue away, and we're going to talk for part of the show about that. So Lost Trucker, Zill, so good to be able to connect. I know we talked a month or two ago about trying to get you on, have you. It's been a blast. By the way, thank you. When you guys hear me say I got different jerseys, I show you. Hats off. Lost Trucker picks me up, different jerseys, different places, wherever she can find them. And so definitely appreciate it, and appreciate your support for the show. You've been awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good night.
Awesome. Well, technically I didn't, your mom did, but it's been a ring a ding dong dandy, guys. And I'll let you finish this off, Sil, because you know how this goes. But in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice.
Cheers.
No back checking.